We're starting shortly. This is just a quick sound test. Hi everybody, and welcome to the stream. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on replay, really good to be with you. Tiger Spreadsheet Solutions, welcome. So if you tune in today, maybe you're a long-term viewer of the channel, but I'm hoping that we're going to get some new viewers in today. That's because we're talking about a topic that's relevant to so many people, and not just the more competent programmers that we often find on the channel. And I love you guys, by the way. This one, we're looking to bring in some new people. That's because we're talking about 3 easy ways to use Excel in your business. Now, this one, kind of personal to me, this one, because over Christmas, I was talking to my sister. You know what it's like at Christmas. You catch up with your family, what's going on professionally. And my twin sister, I have a twin sister. She was saying, I want to use Excel more. I'm really excited by your videos. I love seeing all the charts, all the things you can do with Excel, but I just don't know how to use it. This is my sister's problem. So I was saying, oh, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this. And she was saying, I just need some easy examples that I can use in my business. So this is why we're here today doing this stream. And this is what we're trying to do on the channel. We're not just trying to, do stuff for people on the channel. We're actually trying to broaden interest in Excel, get more people into Excel. There's so many people out there not really using Excel at all who could get so much more out of it. These examples are for you. Hopefully they're going to help. Let's have a quick look in the chat. First, let me know if you can hear and see me. I've got a new live streaming setup today that I'm testing out. Who is with us in the chat? DC is with us in the chat, says greetings from Missouri, where it's currently snowing and everyone is cheering for the Chiefs. Yes, the Chiefs making the Super Bowl. So the Chiefs, David, are Kansas, I believe. So does that mean Kansas is in Missouri? I think so. Might have just embarrassed myself with my terrible geographic knowledge there. But congratulations anyway, DC, into the Super Bowl, playing against the 49ers, I believe. Good stuff. David is with us, David from South Africa. Hi, David. How are you? You're saying it's sunny over there. Fantastic stuff. Andrew is with us. Hi, Andrew. Good to hear from you. And Jasfin is with us as well. And Bob has just come in at the bottom there. Fantastic stuff. So with that said, let's get into our first easy example. And all of these examples are based on what I do. I'm using Excel in my business. I'm using Excel not just to create stuff for clients. I'm using Excel to run my business. I absolutely practice what I preach. There's lots of options out there for us, particularly if we're talking about accounting. There's software out there for us. And I think some of that software is pretty good these days, but you can't beat setting up your own Excel tool, because it's going to have exactly what you need and none of that stuff you don't need, which we often find with software. There's lots of stuff in there that we don't actually use. Now, the first example is the driving log. Let me go ahead and set it up for us here. So the driving log allows easy data input, allows us to save frequent journeys, instant calculation, and quick analysis. What on earth does all that mean? Let's go over to the desktop view. Now, I've got the file here. The file download link is in the description. In the description below this video, there's a download link that's going to take you to Dropbox, and you can download this file and you can use this file yourself. But this file is very similar to what I'm using day to day, what I'm using periodically anyway, to record driving data for my business. I have to drive around, I have to see clients, I have to drive to the office, go to lots of different places, doing lots of driving. The accountant says to me at the end of the year, how much driving did you do? Because obviously that's significant for the business to do with the fuel cost, and I can claim that back, etc., etc. We're not getting into accounting in this one, but it's significant for the business. So it's got to be accurate. So what are some of the things to look out for on this spreadsheet? We've got easy data input. Easy data input. So we've got a nice setup, neat and tidy formatting. And then it's very simple, really. You can just go ahead, put the date in here. What's the date today? 20th of the 1st, 2020. So just nice, simple data input there. And then we've got this feature here. So when I'm talking about easy data input, I'm talking about using the features in Excel to speed up data input. So those manual tasks where you're typing things out and it's taking time and energy, you're thinking there must be a better way to do that. Excel gives us ways to speed up data input. One of those ways is using a drop-down menu. And this is what we've got here. I can just click on the cell. You can see I have this little box to the side of the cell. I can just click on the cell and then choose my data there. So this is going to help. Rather than having to type the same thing in time and again, Excel can help us with one of these nice little drop-down menus. So you're saying to me, Chris, I want one of those. How do I set them up? Well, let's have a look at how to set them up. In order to do that, I'm going to clear the validation first. Alt-A-VV. This gives us the validation box. I'm just going to set this to nothing. Let's just look at how to set up this data validation. So this drop-down menu is an example of data validation. We're validating the data as we're putting it into the spreadsheet. It's a feature of a good spreadsheet model. It gives us control as a programmer. How do we set it up? Well, let's go to Home. In fact, let's go to Data. And then we want data validation. So where's data validation these days? Now, I've got a problem here. Because I always use keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to go to the desktop view here. So data validation is just over here. So this little icon here. Sorry, that's not very big on your screen. Okay, we go to data validation. Then we have our data validation options. And there's different options we can do. The option we're interested in today is having a list, because we're going to have a list or a menu that we're going to choose from. Go ahead, hit list, and then source is Excel is saying to us, where are the values that you want to be able to choose from? So we can click in the source box, and then we can actually click on the spreadsheet. Now you can see the cursor is flashing in the source box. Clicking on the spreadsheet. Now in this bottom right hand corner, we've got a little database of journeys here. How cool is that? And we're going to see how we can build up this database in a second. Just hit OK now, and we can see we've got a box appearing here, and we've now got choices. That's our drop down menu. That's data validation. This is how Excel can speed up your data inputs. So go ahead, hit Control C on the Windows PC, hold down the Shift key, and use the down arrow to select the rest of the data. Then go Control Alt and V on the Windows PC, and then we're going to copy down the validation. That's going to take the validation down to the rest of the cells. So nice little data entry mechanism there. That's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of effort. You can see how easy it was to put in. That's not programmer stuff. That's not going into the VBA editor. It's pretty straightforward to set that up. You can do it. You can use Excel in your business. Now, I did mention that we've got some options down here. So this is where we'd put in some frequent journeys. I'm going to go ahead and put a journey in now. And I'm pretending that these are kind of postcodes, because in the UK we have letters and numbers that make up a postcode. Let's say we've got a 100-mile journey. And now what's going to happen if we go back to the list? Remember, when we set up the list, we referred to this range. So now if we go back to the list, we can see we've got our journey there. Pretty cool stuff. So what are we thinking in the chat? Who's come into the chat? Bob is here. Welcome, Bob. Bob says audio video is good. Thank you, Bob. Good to see you, and I'll see you in Members Monday at 5 o'clock. Oh, there's some banter in the chat between Bob and David talking about the Super Bowl stuff. Nick is here. Nick, how are you? Nick tuning in from Athens. I imagine you got some nice warm weather there. I don't think I've seen you in a stream yet, Nick, so welcome to the channel. And Michelle is here. Fantastic. Good to see you, Michelle. How are you? How is the weather where you are? Michelle, have you been following the Super Bowl? Are you into that as well? Let us know. So we've got our nice data input mechanism here. What you're going to notice, I want you to keep an eye on column D here. Just keep an eye on column D. When we change the values in this column, when we change the values, you can see we've got some instant calculation here. Changing the values, and the calculation in the column next door is also calculating. So what's going on there? We must have a formula here, and the formula we're using here is VLOOKUP. And this formula, going back to our main points, this formula, it allows us to save these frequent journeys, put the mile values in, and then to do an instant calculation which feeds into a quick analysis. As always in Excel, we've got different aspects combining together, data validation, formulae, whatever it might be, to create beautiful synergy that helps us to get this stuff done. Synergy is when someone goes, wow, that's amazing. That's when you've got lots of things working together to do something super powerful. And in this case, we've got what is called a VLOOKUP formula here. A VLOOKUP formula stands for vertical lookup. And VLOOKUP is going to take a value. It's going to take a value that we point to. We can see that we're pointing to cell C7 here. Taking that value, it's going to look for it in a data set and then return a value on the same row. So we've got GH7 to ST7. So Excel has gone down to this row, which is row 16, and it's returned a value of 61. We can decide which column Excel is going to return a value on from with this figure here in the formula. So I won't go through building that formula, but you can find videos on the channel to do with VLOOKUP. We have a video called Fix Your VLOOKUP Formula, for example, Fix Your VLOOKUP Formula, where we go deep into VLOOKUP formulae, and we can see it working here. So I can just change the value and we can see this is coming through. We've got this coming through nicely. Then we've got more. We've got more in this formula chain. We've got a formula here that's going to multiply the number of miles by our pounds claimed per mile. Okay, and this formula, let's go ahead and put it in. It's a little bit less complicated than VLOOKUP. So we want to multiply this figure, the mile figure, by the amount that we can claim per mile. That's going to give us the total value we can claim for the journey, of course. How would we do that? Well, select the cell, hit the equals key, and then I use the keyboard, use the arrow keys to move around the spreadsheet. This cell multiplied by this cell here. You can see we've merged some cells together there. Okay, so we've got D7 multiplied by H2. Right, is this going to work? If I hit enter now, I'm happy with that calculation. Just doing a sense check on this calculation. Does it look sensible? 61 multiplied by 0.45. Yep, it looks reasonably sensible. It's a bit less than half of 61. What's going to happen if I pull this formula down? Let me know in the chat. What's going to happen if I pull this formula down? Even to make these simple tools, we do need to know a little bit about formula building, particularly relative and absolute references. We're going to see an example of that in the second. Michelle is saying, I don't follow the sports. So there's frozen snow since Saturday. Haven't looked outside yet. Hopefully it's all melted now. Seems to be a lot of snow in the world at the moment. No snow in the UK. Certainly not where I live so far this year. We'd love to have some snow. Ishak says, hello guys. Ishak, welcome. I think it's the first time I've seen you on the channel. Make sure you say hello in the chat. Let me know, Ishak, where are you tuning in from in the world and what stage are you at in your Excel or VBA coding career? Jasmine says, thanks for the files in the Dropbox via the download link in the comments. Yes, thank you, Jasfin. There are files. You can download these files and use them. Yeah, so there's a link in the description below the video. You can go and look at these files and indeed adapt them for your own purposes. DC is saying, yes, absolute reference. So when we drag this formula down, so when we want to move a formula to other cells or a value to other cells, we can click and hold the drag handle and just pull this down, which we're going to go ahead and do now. Now we've got absolute carnage. What's going on here? This is not what we expected. We expected a nice list of values. We've got some value not available errors. We've got some hashtags here. So what on earth has happened? Well, I'm going to go back to the cell, hit the F2 key and the escape key, F2 escape, F2 escape. What you can see is those references are moving down the spreadsheet. Yeah, because those references are relative references. If there's no dollar signs, it's a relative reference. That means wherever the formula goes, the reference is going to move relative to where the formula is. That's the technical explanation. In practice, it means, yeah, the references are going to move around. We don't want the references to move around. We want the references to be fixed. We want the references to be absolute. So we can go ahead. I'm going to click in between the H and the 2 in the formula bar and hit the F4 key on the Windows PC, hit the F4 key, we can now see we've got dollar signs around that reference. That's now an absolute reference. So wherever we take that formula, that reference is going to stay there. Super cool. Already you're getting into formula building in Excel. So we can go ahead now and just drag this formula down. And we can see, yeah, we seem to have sensible results there. So always do a sense check when we set something up. So 40, yeah, about half of 40, just under half 40 is 18. So this looks reasonable. You can see we've got the dollar signs in the formula there. Hitting the F2 key, I can see the formula is pointing to the right place. So they're the main features of our driving log. So you can see, doesn't need to be a big deal. Really, the stuff I build, even for customers, it's simple stuff. It's not all about how many formulae can you use, who's got the longest formula, who can use VBA. It's about using what Excel gives us in a simple, effective way. Super powerful. These are the main features. And yeah, the file is available for you to download. If that's the only Excel file you use in your business, I guarantee when it comes to doing your accounts at the end of the year, and a small business owner like me, you will have to do that. It's going to save you a lot of time. Good. Let's see what's going on in the chat. So DC says naming the range gives a more descriptive name in the formula. Yeah, I like that idea, DC. So if you want to know more about that, you can just internet search Excel named range. Named ranges are super useful for us in formulae. I won't go into that now, DC, but in our other videos, we go to named range, all kinds of things in our other videos. Who else is in the chat? Yeah, Michelle says need to lock H2 first. Yeah, people say we need to lock the formula. That's another way of expressing this idea of absolute references. We need to lock that cell reference. That means we hit the F4 key, we get those dollar signs in there. Steve is in the chat. Welcome. My brother is in the chat. I've already mentioned my sister. My brother is in the chat as well. Welcome, Steve from Berlin. Carnage. It was carnage. It was absolute carnage when I pulled those formulae down just a second ago. Very good. So before we go on to our second easy example of how you can use Excel in your business, let me go ahead and just have a quick look in the chat. Have a quick look in the chat now. And can you see some people in the chat? They have little badges by their names. Jasfin, one of our members, has a badge by the name there. Bob, one of our members, has a badge by his name as well. That's because these are members. And I just want to tell you a little bit more about Members Monday, because it might be exactly what you want. You know, all sales patter aside, this might be exactly what you need to push forward your career. And I've got a little testimonial here from Bart, who's one of our members. And you can see here what Bart is saying about Members Monday. Bart's saying he's been a member for more than a month. If you're still not a member, you've got to really think about it. It's learning how to plan and work with a client, Excel VBA tips on a total other level to what you'll find on YouTube or on the web. It's like going to a class online without a book, and you can see how you solve it for yourself in the real world. I really hope you'll join us on Monday to see for yourself. No, Chris didn't pay me to say this. He's already helped me a lot with my questions. And this was on Members Monday, so I'm really grateful for that. Need I say more? You know, it's not just more YouTube content. This is live content. I'm interacting with the members, asking their questions, dealing with their files, and we're doing more than just Excel. I always say, if you want your Excel work to have more impact, don't learn more formulae, don't learn more code. Learn more about the context, If you can understand the context of Excel projects, understand business strategy, understand how to set up a project, understand how to interact with clients more, that's the lever. That's the way to improve the impact of your Excel work. So for me, Members Monday is much more, it's almost a management consulting class. It's a consulting class where we're using Excel. I'm sharing all my experience of hundreds of real world projects using Excel VBA development. So Members Monday, I would love to have you there. How do you join? Click the join button below this video. Members Monday number 8 is happening from 5 o'clock. Right, let's get into our second easy example. So How are you handling invoices in your business? And I know Steve is with us today, so it's not just small business owners. If you're self-employed, and I know Steve does some work on a self-employed basis, if you're self-employed, you're going to be invoicing people. So how are you handling those invoices? And as I said, there's some good software out there for doing this these days, and that may be the best option for you. Excel is not for everybody, but the great thing about Excel, as I said, you're going to program it to get it to do exactly what you need it to do, with no other bells and whistles, nothing else to distract you. You're going to get a bespoke tool that does exactly what you need to do. So I'll show you a tool very similar to the Invoice Record that I use for my business. Let's go ahead and have a look at it now. Again, this file is available for download, so just click the link in the description below this video. What are some of the features here? Well, similar to the previous file, we want easy data input. We don't want to be clicking around cells. We don't want to be scrolling up and down. We don't want to have to find specific cells from really busy spreadsheets. Just neat and tidy layout. We've got very easy data input, and we've got support for data input. What is this? What is this? Can you remember? This is a drop-down menu, of course. So again, we've got a simple mechanism. We've got some entries in here. These are entries that we're going to make multiple times. So let's put them in once, save our fingers, not get so tired, not get so stressed. List them once, and then use a drop-down menu there. Then we've got a nice simple data input. We've got a bit of a feature here, which I think is interesting. So let's go ahead. If I type in no here, can you see what's going on with the color here? If I just type in no, so it's giving us this nice visual clue that this invoice hasn't been paid yet. If the invoice hasn't been paid, then we need to follow that up. So what's that called? Let me know in the chat. When I change a value and the formatting changes, you know, if you didn't know much about Excel, you might think, oh, that must be formatting. Somebody must have formatted that cell red, but it's not just simple formatting. This is, anybody in the chat got this? This is, of course, conditional formatting. So let's look at how we would put this conditional formatting. It's a good way to communicate what's going on in the data. You can go to home at the top, conditional formatting, and then let's say highlight cells rules, and then equal to, I'll just do that on the desktop view so you can see it all, and home, and then conditional formatting, highlight cells rules, and then equal to. We can click that. This takes us to our conditional formatting dialog box. It should be fairly routine from here. But if you type in no here, and then you can choose a format, or you can go to custom format, and actually, you know, that gives you more control over what the format is. That's going to program a conditional formatting rule. Where can we find all of the conditional formatting rules? Well, if you go to the conditional formatting rules manager, conditional formatting, then manage rules at the bottom here, just behind me, manage rules at the bottom, we can see all of the conditional formatting rules that are currently in the spreadsheet. And I can see the one that I pre-programmed, if you like, the one that I programmed in. If the value of the cell is no, this is going to be the format, and it only applies to these cells. So let me know in the chat, maybe some of the more advanced people in the chat, do you use the conditional formatting rules manager? I discovered this a few years ago. It was a bit of a game changer for me. I had some sheets with lots and lots of conditional formatting in, couldn't understand the formatting too well. So this conditional formatting rules manager lists all of the rules out, allows you to manage them really easily. So that's conditional formatting. Again, just really simple techniques, but giving us you know, a powerful tool that's going to flag up not just data input. It's going to flag up when things are going wrong. It's going to flag up things that we need to be aware of. So we've got a fairly straightforward data input mechanism here. You know, similar to our previous example, similar to the driving record. Over here, the data analysis is a bit more interesting, I think. We'll get to that in a second. I'll just go over to the left-hand side of the screen here. We'll get to that in a second. What's going on in the chat then? Yeah, Jasmine says, save our fingers. Yep, so less typing, but also your eyes. Absolutely. You know, the word I was taught anyway, and the word that programmers use is cognitive load. Cognitive load. You know, when your computer, you know, you've got lots of Windows open. I'm currently streaming. I've got Excel open and I'm recording it to my hard drive. So my computer is doing a lot at the moment. There's a lot of cognitive load, a lot of load on the computer. When you have high cognitive load, you slow down, just like the performance of your computer slows down. So if you're doing lots of typing, lots of cognitive load, wearing out your ears, wearing out your eyes, there's better ways to do that. Easy ways to apply Excel in your business. Conditional formatting, Jasmine. Yeah, well done, Jasmine. That was an example of conditional formatting, of course. DC says, I use the conditional formatting manager all the time. Yeah, me too now, DC. That was a real revelation for me. And Michelle says, Mike Gervin from Excel is fun. Who's he? Who's this guy? Mike Gervin. No, I don't actually know who he is, Michelle, but I'm sure he's very good. And he's always using conditional formatting. Well, he must be using the conditional formatting rules manager too. Let me know in the chat. Here's a kind of controversial question. Who's your favorite Excel YouTuber? Who's your favorite Excel YouTuber? Who's the person I should be watching and learning from to improve my videos? Michelle says, Mike Gervin. Let me know who you watch on YouTube. So let's move over to this analysis area here. So our tools, we're not just doing data input, not just recording and maintaining data. We're actually exploiting that data to create some insights. And we've got an example here, some simple formulae, super powerful, that are creating some insights for us. So let's take one out and rebuild it. In fact, we might do both, time permitting. But let's say we want to know, okay, for our clients, how many invoices for each client for this year? Simple question. And you might say, well, I can just count that. I can just look at it and count. What if you got 200 invoices? It's not going to be fun counting them. So we can ask Excel. Ask Excel to do the counting. Let's look at a simple data analysis formula, super powerful, which is count if. So type in COUNTIF equals COUNTIF, open the bracket. When we open the bracket, we get our prompts from Excel. Excel tells us what it needs next. So first, I'm going to use the arrow keys, hold down the shift key. So I'm going to go to the range that I want to count. I'm saying to Excel, look in this range when you do the counting. That's the first thing that Excel wants to know. Just totally messed that up. That's the risk of, live Excel development, I suppose. Anyway, so redefine that range there. I'm not sure why I've got this circle there. That's a bit annoying. Anyway, what do I need to do at this point? Can you remember what we just said? This formula is going to be dragged down. It's going to be dragged down. That means we've got to worry about the references. So what do we need to do here? Hit the F4 key. That puts our absolute references in. That means wherever the formula goes, it's still going to point to this data area. A common mistake. Remember those absolute formulae. And then comma, criteria. So here Excel is saying, what do you want me to count in this area? What do we want Excel to count? We want Excel to count the client name. Do we need an absolute formula? Do we need an absolute reference here? What do you think? If you're really thinking about these questions, absolute, do I need the dollar signs or not? Then you're really moving towards understanding and being able to use these formulae. So do we need an absolute reference here? No, we don't, because this formula is going to be copied down. Control D now, Control D to autofill down. This formula is going to be copied down. I'm going to hit the F2 key and we can see that the range we're looking at, the blue range, highlighted blue, stays the same, but the red cell, that's what we're counting, moves down. So we've got this beautiful thing, absolute formulae and relative formulae, absolute and relative references combined together. Super powerful stuff. And we can see a total of 14 invoices. So I can go ahead and just select the invoices, holding down the shift key. So just to double check that, and I can see at the bottom of Excel, can't actually see the bottom of Excel. I can see at the bottom of Excel there, yes, we have 14 there. So doing a little test as well as we go along, do the same thing two ways. That allows us to test. So super powerful count if formula there. Yep, some people talk about other YouTubers and YouTube good stuff. Jasmine says, no question, Tiger. Thank you, Jasmine. DC says, Paul Kelly, Excel Macro Mastery is a great channel. Okay, I will check that out. Excel is Fun is another subscription of mine, great for non-VBA solutions. Good stuff, DC. Maybe I should check that out. Michelle says Excel is Fun. Mr. Excel is Bill Jelen, right? He's like the original gangster. Layla Garani, I'm familiar with her. XE Plus and TSSS. Is TSS Tiger Spreadsheet Solutions, Michelle? Or is there another TSSS? I don't know. Anyway, thanks for those recommendations. I'll certainly check those out. And yeah, let me know in the chat. What do they do that I don't do? You know, give me some feedback. Give me some feedback. What would you like to see me do that they're doing that I'm not doing? Okay, so we're doing a simple analysis here. And okay, yeah, I won't do this formula now because we're struggling a bit for time. We've got a simple data analysis formula here. And now this is a sum if formula. So this is summing up of, for this client, red speakers, how much have we charged this client this year? How much have we charged this client this year? Super powerful formula. Just to prove this, okay, I'm going to change the value. So we've got 1178 here. I'm going to change the value for this first invoice to 4412, and we can see that that value changes. This is the sum if formula. If you want to know about these simple, super powerful data analysis formulae, we have a series called Excel Data Analysis Formulae for Beginners. It's 7 videos. I always mention this series. It's one of our underrated series, I think. We definitely got some overrated series. This one, I think, is underrated. You know, people always think, oh, I must need Excel VBA to do this. I must need pivot tables to do this. No, you might just need a formula. Yeah, you need these data analysis formulae in your toolkit. We've got sum ifs, we've got count ifs, sum ifs. We've got dsum, super powerful, dsum, dcount. Get into these formulae. They're going to keep you away from pivot tables, keep you away from Excel VBA for a bit longer. Don't get me wrong, pivot tables and Excel VBA, they've got their place, but people go to them too quickly when they can get more value out of the basic stuff in Excel. That's going to keep things simple. Sweat the assets. That's what they say, isn't it? Get as much value as you can out of the basic stuff before going on to the more advanced stuff. TSSS is what we're watching now. Yes, Michelle. I thought you meant me by TSS there. Good. People having some laughs in the chat. That is good stuff. Okay. And then we go on to create a nice visual analysis here too. So these two tools, very similar to what I'm using. Let me know in the chat. Are you using these types of tools? Have you downloaded the tools yet? Make sure you download them. You can adapt these to your purposes. But I just want to tell you once more about Members Monday. So what do you get in Members Monday? You get a weekly live stream. How do you get better at something? There's a question for you. Steve might still be in the chat. I'm not sure. But me and Steve do half marathon running. In the past 3 years, we've started running half marathons. That's a difficult thing to do, you know, to get yourself fit, get yourself in shape. How we do it is by being consistent. Yeah, we're not the fastest runners in the world, but we're consistent. You know, we turn up every week to train. That's what I'm proposing. That's how I'm proposing you think about Members Monday. Are you going to turn up every week? I'm going to turn up every week. We've done 8 or 9 streams so far. Absolutely loved it. I'm going to turn up. It's a weekly appointment with me. It's consistent. You're going to improve every week. We're working with a small group of learners. You get to know me better, get to know the other learners better. You get my insights, you get the other learners' insights. We've been working on 2 files so far, which the learners themselves have sent in. So as always on this channel, it's contextual, all based on real world stuff. So I'd love to have you in Members Monday. And this is what we want here. If you want to join, as I said, you're going to get maximum value now because we're starting Members Monday number 8. We're starting in about 15 minutes. Just click join below this video. I would love to have you here. Good. So moving on to a financial dashboard. Now, I'm certainly pushing kind of the definition of simple here. But I wanted to present this as a bit of a more aspirational piece, Maybe this is not something you're going to be able to do now, but it really demonstrates the power of Excel, you know, and that can be motivational to be able to see something, you know, you can't realistically do yourself, but motivates you to do that. You know, I was inspired on the topic of running. I was inspired when we watched Kipchoge, what, 6 months ago or something, break the 2-hour record in the marathon. I'm never going to run that fast, but I found it inspiring. And I think a couple of hours later, I had my trainers on and I was out running. So this might be a kind of aspirational thing, a kind of motivational thing. This file is also available for download, but this is what I call a full financial dashboard for understanding the cost structure of a business. So we've got data here, got all of the data in, and what I'm suggesting is with this file, you could copy paste the data in from your online banking. We've got a full VBA application. So we've got an engine here. This helps us with some calculations. We've got the lists here. These are the lists that power the drop-down menus. Remember, we've already done drop-down menus. And all of this together goes into this dashboard, beautiful dashboard, I think. And then we've got various dynamic functions here. So we can say, okay, I just want to look at July spending. Okay, I want to look at all the spending. And then we can look at different metrics here, the average spend, the total spend. So super powerful. And you might be saying to me, Chris, that looks like magic. You know, you have to have superpowers to put that together. I'm telling you, and people in the chat know this. There's no kind of magic dust or anything coming into it. It's just the steady and systematic building of formulae, building a structure to create this kind of effective Excel application. You can do that, as I said, you can do that by building the skill. That's what Excel is, just like marathon running, whatever it might be, you can do that by building the skill. So you've got to work through our videos. As I said, having a commitment block like Members Monday is great, but if that's not for you, that's absolutely fine. We've got 150 videos on the channel, working through those videos, downloading the download files. Practicing is going to get you to a situation eventually where you can put together something like this. And even if you can't put this together, download it, click through it. That's how I learned so much of my Excel, downloading files, clicking through files. How does this formula work? How does this code work? You know, you might not be too far away from like a point where everything fits together, the penny drops, and you're able to put together something like this. So this financial dashboard, yeah, could be applied to a small business and another super powerful application of Excel. But if you can't do this one, remember, we've got our driving log. You can download the driving log. And we've got the invoice record. You can download the invoice record and use it yourself. And then we had a look at the third example, financial dashboard, which works with an import from online banking, multiple sheet structure, sophisticated analysis, and dynamic quality, which means we can change the months and all of the analysis updates there. So there's three easy ways that you can apply Excel to your business. Let me know in the chat before we get going today. Let me know. Have you downloaded these files? Have you learned anything from this stream? Is there anything you think I've missed from any of these files? Have you got more ideas? Let me know in the chat now, or let me know in the comments. But what I really hope is, obviously I love our members. I love the people who hang out in the chat on this channel, but I'm really trying to get people like my sister. I mentioned my sister at the start isn't really an Excel user, to get people who don't use Excel into using Excel. And the only way to do that is by providing some simple applications, very focused on real world value. You know, this is what you can do in the real world. So it might not be you, but maybe you could show this stream to your friend or somebody at work who wants to get into Excel, who's struggling. You know, it's going to benefit us all in the long run if more people are getting involved in Excel, more people are getting into this community. If you're interested in Tiger's particular sub-community, I'd love to have you here. And thank you so much for hanging out today. And Members Monday could be for you. So click the join button below. Right, any final questions in the chat? Jasmine says the invoice file, maybe how to set up individual invoices and print them and export them. Yep. I think that's a good idea, Jasmine. I've actually closed the file. Let's see if I can quickly open the file. If we could click a button and it would take this information, put it into a template and generate an invoice. Great idea. You know, it's not too far from this, the step to having an invoice generator to generate a template like that. You know, it's not that much of a step. We could do it using some Excel VBA. To learn how to do that, I recommend our Excel VBA for Post Beginners series. Excel VBA for Post Beginners. That shows you how to do something very similar. It's not invoices, it's to do with reports, but it's taking data that's arranged in a line on one sheet and putting it all on a new sheet in a kind of template format. So Excel VBA for post beginners is perfectly possible to have the click of a button function for you to generate invoices, put this information into a particular template. Alexander, hello, how are you? Good to see you. You've had some good comments in the chat, Alexander, some witty comments previously. You said, so it's good to see you. You said, interesting. I thought in the past I would never need Excel. Now I know I was wrong. That's a good comment, good comment to finish on. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of people out there who don't need Excel. They might invest in custom software. They might have, maybe money's not tight for them, and they can buy all of the software subscriptions. They can buy a piece of software and only use 10% of it, and it doesn't bother them. That's fine. That's all cool with me. But there's certain people out there who, like my business, not a massive business, money is a concern. So it's great to be able to call on Excel. The great thing about Excel is super powerful, but you don't have to use any of it, or you don't have to use all of it. You can only use a small proportion of it to create these super powerful tools that do exactly what you need to do, but nothing extra. So all of those bells and whistles that could be a distraction, they're not there. That's why I love these little Excel tools. Okay, so Michelle says, I'm logging my Twitch streams. I'm out, stream duration is off. So Michelle, I think you're off. I'll see you soon. So I'm going to say goodbye there, guys. I hope it got you thinking about how to use Excel in your business. And as I said, maybe it's not, even if it's not relevant to you, you could show it to someone else, colleague at work, family member, a friend, whoever it might be, who wants to get in Excel, get them to download the files and to actually practice. Remember, it's all about practice. I would love to see you in Members Monday. Click join below this video and